Here we have those. So after the presentations, we're gonna have to decide who runs the actual meeting. So let's do the presentation right now. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Thank you. Counselor Page.
Here.
Counselor Hagedorn. Here. Counselor McCall Wallace. Here. Counselor Pippin. Present. Counselor Redding. Here. And Council President Dumbrou is excused this evening.
Since we have nobody established as the mayor or council president, we need somebody to run the meeting and have nominations, please.
I'd like to nominate James Page to run tonight's meeting.
I will second.
Here in the first, here in a second, James Fitchie, please.
All of us have to agree.
Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Excuse me, who seconded?
There's
Counselor Pippin, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Hearing none, passes. Okay, first, we have the roll call, pledge allegiance, approval of minutes. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 21st, 2025 city council minutes.
All second.
Here in the first, here in a second, anybody opposed? I should say, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, passes. Now we have time for public comment. We have a few people in Zoom with us today, it's pretty nice. We're gonna start off with, Glenn Warren. Please state your name and your.
Right here?
Yeah,
There you go, up there.
you got this.
Right up here.
There's a
There's the
microphone.
microphone.
Back here.
It's on.
Okay, the name's Glenn Warren, 10845 Northwest 311 North Place. Today I'd like to come in front of the council to actually complain about the little portfolio, the little building out here that North Plains rents it out. 2 Sundays ago, they had it rented out, or it was being occupied. And they stayed till about 9:30 at night. That's way past dusk. And we have a problem with about people out here way after 10 o'clock. Playing basketball, playing pickleball. Besides that, I wanted to say, they had inflatable balloons. And they let those go, or they got away from them. And it hit the power line. Nothing happened to it, except it was fluttered in the wind. And then it went clear to the power pole down at the end there. And we could hear that flutter for a couple of days, and finally the air went out. But I think that's a type of littering to let those things go. And a lot of them go. And I just wanna know, what's the rules on if you rent that out, when they have to be out of there? Is it before dusk? And I just wanted to bring that up to the city, that they're going way beyond what they should be going if they rent it.
The last rental is from 8 to 10 p.m.
Well, that's after dusk. How can you rent something after it's closed?
I'm just saying what the last rental is. That's not for me to answer. I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Next, we have David Hatcher. David, would you please list your name and address, please?
No, they don't have to give their address,
Just to see that.
whether they live inside the city limits or.
Okay, hopefully, is this too loud?
No.
You're fine, okay. Um. So I'm gonna read what I wrote out here. The budget, I'm gonna talk about the budget a bit here. The budget, is critically important to everything the city does. It's central to everything. I think you guys got that. And I've been through a lot of budget cycles. I just want to say you guys did a great job. And I really mean that. For most of you, this is your first budget cycle. And with that came a steep learning curve. There's a lot to take in and understand. And I think you all did a great job towards that end. Everyone here was involved. You were present, you were asking questions, and you gave ideas. You were engaged. And I really think the council should feel really good about that. Actually, the whole budget committee. When we were done with the process, thanks to what Bill presented, he did a great job. He also understood the financial constraints that we are operating under. And what we need to look forward to in the future. You've got some tough decisions ahead of you, and you know why. I thank you for giving plans, ideas, things to think about. And really, if you look at it, very few changes are made to what Bill submitted. I think, he did a good job in presenting what the council wanted for their goals. And I think you would agree that the final product was clean, it was clear, and it was understood by everyone. And we came out of the process with a balanced budget. I've been involved in some budgets where you go, it's balanced, but is it really? But this is balanced, and I so really hope you're all feeling good about your accomplishment. So what's been bothering me about all of this is when someone comes online on Zoom and says that the budget is in shambles. And that just strikes me as crazy thinking, because I know it's not true, because if we had a good budget. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next for public comments, I have Lisa Furrow. Please state whether or not you're in or outside the city. Lisa? I'm sorry, Lori Furrow. It's just need that, and that other meeting.
My name again is Lori Furrow and I'm in the city. I just have just a really short comment, just wondering, that the city manager's review was on the agenda. Sorry, it was in, the minutes for last time, in my understanding, and that it was, the city council that had said that it was going to be tonight. And I know that other people had prepared to speak tonight on the city manager's review, but yet it's not. So I'm just wondering what the procedural, what are the procedures to take something off the agenda? So just, and maybe I misunderstood, but that was my understanding that it was supposed to be for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next for public comment, we have Don Weber. Please stay whether you're inside or outside the city.
My name is Don Weber. I am a citizen of North Plains. I've lived in North Plains for about 5 years. I am retired, which has given me lots of time to kind of wander around. I like to walk, so I'm probably outside the city streets a couple hours a day. I've walked up and down all the streets multiple times, which is a lot of fun. It's given me time to attend all the commissions and the Economic Commission, the Planning Commission, the Budget Committee. I'm also on the Parks and Rec. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to kind of be exposed to the city. And kind of, the other thing I've been involved in is the potential growth to the city. One of my biases is I've wanted to see the city eventually have a rec center, which is kind of my passion, maybe a swimming pool. And so I was attracted to growth because I thought it would provoke all this money, which would allow this rec center. So what have I learned in the last 5 years? I think in my studies of the economics, especially of Hillsborough, I've come to see that the economic reality from growth is overstated. It's not what I would think it was. I looked up recently a similar house to mine in Hillsborough, and they pay more money to the city than I do, which doesn't make sense if all this money flows in. The other thing that disturbed me in the growth process was finding out that it wasn't required of us to do it. I was led to believe at all those early meetings, it was something we had to do, and I believe that. Turns out cities over 10,000 are required, only them. So the other thing that has concerned me is I love the idea of a grocery store. I like the idea that the city has purchased 5 acres of land. I'm very concerned about the slow progress in regards to that land. And one of my overall feelings in observing things is most of the energy in my time here has gone towards growth. And it feels like not enough energy has gone to the areas within our current boundaries. So my overall reflection is perhaps at some point growth is needed. In the near future, my recommendation is we set aside the 654, repeal that amendment and simply focus on the 5 acres that we have. Let's get a grocery store. Let's show that we can adequately build that as a city the way we want it built. Once we can pat ourselves on the back for the 5 acres, then let's move on to something else. The other recommendation I would have is do a better job of empowering our committees. We have wonderful, talented people on those, often underutilized. The Urban Renewal Agency is an example of a group that has millions of dollars to give out. City Council is very busy. It's hard to get to that. The Economic Commission would be a wonderful group to delegate that to. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Please forgive the last name here. I can't tell if it's an H or an N. But Mike Schurz? Thank you. Please let me know whether you're in our sense.
You got it right.
Very good.
My name is Mike Schertz and I live within the city limits. Good evening, council. I'm here to give comment on the job performance of Bill Reed as I see it. Mr. Reed has been on this job for over 9 months. What has he done? He continues to push for a UGB that the voters rejected, when we still have infrastructure that needs to be dealt with before we can even think about that stuff. He's failed to file audited financials for 22, 23, and 24. He was reminded by Lenahan and Council President Sheldon to get our house in order, and still we are non-compliant. The harm to the city is substantial. There are certain federal and state grants that we cannot get or apply for if our financial house is this far in arrears. These are certain grants that could be required to be paid back if it is found that there was a single audit failure. How much money has the city lost because of our inability to put our financial house in order? I think that's something that everybody needs to think about. He operates in secrecy. We get no monthly financial reports. He writes city policy, gives the council fully formed resolutions he expects the council to vote on with no time for research or discussion. He hides the IGA for the TGM grant and just gives you the 3J contract. He answers questions with questions. The work done in the last 9 months is a failure. If any of us had that kind of performance on our jobs, we wouldn't have a job. Mr. Reed works for the city and at the direction of the council, not the other way around. But from my perspective, you work for him. I want to see the council reclaim its control and oversight, even if that means finding other options for our council leadership. Remember, everything the Reed does or doesn't do, the city council is held liable for. Do you really want to be responsible for someone else's poor work ethics or decisions? So I would really like the city council to start thinking about that and taking it seriously. And I would ask that you put time limits on what is required and get these audits done so that the city doesn't suffer for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next for public comment, we have Emily Waldron. Please stay with your inside or outside the city.
Hi, my name is Emily Waldron. I am outside the city, but within 97133. And today I'm actually speaking for myself and for the community organizing group Strong Towns. I'm not here to complain, but I'm here to come with an offer. We raised money to get the services of a parliamentarian when it comes to how you all can best select a new mayor. That was something that we had members of the community that donated for, and everyone thinks it's very important to make sure this process is done correctly and as transparent as possible. This is a new territory for all of us. I know there's been resignations of council members in the past in the middle of their term, but to have a mayor resign within the first 6 months is a new thing for everyone involved. And so we wanted to be sure that everyone was following whatever policies needed to be followed, both within our town's charter as well as the state laws. And I know that report, I believe, was sent to Lori and the city offices as well as to all of the counselors. If anybody else would like it, I'm happy to take information to share that. But I'm here to offer that we can fundraise again and have donated the services of a parliamentarian for the day of when you are interviewing people. It sounds like there were a lot of questions when you all were setting up in the work session earlier about, what do you do if there's a tie and you're here till midnight? Can you go home? Can you have extra days? And, we have a variety of city attorneys that try to answer it, but the city attorney does not have the same level and depth of knowledge when it comes to this as a parliamentarian does. The parliamentarian that we use for the opinion, her name is Christina Bueller. She actually is the Oregon Association of Parliamentarians educational chair. So she educates other parliamentarians in Oregon. She's a member of the National Association of Parliamentarians, and she has worked a lot with neighboring cities, like Banks down the road has used her services on occasion, as well as other cities and the state legislature in Oregon. So she's very well educated. I believe it's August 18th that you all are doing interviews, and we already know that she has that time available. It would just be something that council would have to decide, and the Strong Towns organizing groups and members of the community feel so strongly about this being important that we will donate the money to pay her, so this can be available to be done in the best possible way. And like I said, I know that we have attorneys, but their job is to protect the city. Their job isn't to regulate policies and how they're being carried out in meetings like a parliamentarian does. We have Bill is within his first year and he's never experienced this before, so it's out of his wheelhouse as well. If you guys want her and we pay her and she just sits here and you never ask her a question, that's fine, that's a choice. But it would just be a third party related to nobody in the city who would be available. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Next for public comment, we have Larry Gonzalez. Please state with your inside or outside the city.
Where does he want to start? Larry Gonzalez, resident of North Plains. What was the other question I had to answer?
That's it.
That was it, okay, good. I'm gonna read my statement because I can't think and and talk at the same time. Thanks, thank Councilman Bush for having me here yet again. Citizen participation is good for North Plains, as we see here tonight. But we also need to clarify, boundaries between residents and non-residents. I know that, in my definition, North Plains residents, a portion of their property taxes go to fund the city. They vote in city elections, and non-residents don't vote in city elections, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that the residents need a strong voice at city council meetings and other city meetings. And I encourage the North Plains residents to attend any meetings that they see appropriate. I also see a number of non-residents who attend city meetings regularly, and we welcome their ideas and input. They're part of the North Plains community, and as you heard tonight, they have strong opinions, and that's good. And there are also members of a couple of organizations, I'll name one, the Citizens Participation Organization Region 8, who attend the city meetings regularly, and I encourage any positive and useful information they could share with the city council members and residents. But my understanding is their charter is to observe and educate. And they are a group for the county to connect with the local communities. But what I see kind of missing a little bit, I'm not sure, I don't see behind the scenes, but I'd like to see the city council and the county clarify the boundaries for this group. For example, March 17th, 2025, there was a member of the CPO8 who was here during the city council meeting, seemed to suggest that the city council replace the city manager, and I've heard that sentiment here from residents as well. I'm not sure if some of the allegations or insinuations are founded or unfounded. That's more of a thing for you folks, but I did hear this, a CPO8 member who is not a resident, voice that opinion, and I'd like the county to clarify what their charter is. Because it seemed to be a step beyond observed and educated. It appeared to me to be activism and interference with city policies and staffing decisions. And I hope that city council will set clear boundaries with these and other groups. And finally, I'd like to call on all the residents of North Plains to attend these meetings and be visible. You can attend in person or virtually via Zoom. Because if you're not visible and vocal, the city council may be influenced by those people who do attend the meetings.
Larry, you're out of time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Larry. Next, we have some people that are online. If there's anybody else has not filled the form out in person, you're invited to fill it in. So we have Ron Bunch on Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. This is Ron Bunch in Portland, Oregon, out of town, of course. For the last several months, Strong Towns has been developing a record of decisions and actions by the city and others related to the urban growth boundary planning. An example is a public records request that shows the ex-mayor and city lobbyists worked with the governor's office in midsummer 2024 to get agency staff to extend an unused transportation growth management grant's expiration date to mid-June 2026. This was done to ensure there was funding to concept plan the city's proposed 850-acre UGB. This happened after the May 2024 referendum vote. Then the ex-mayor signed an IGA scope of work with the state that committed the city to agree to and participate in planning within an adopted UGB area of 855 acres. This included planning for the semiconductor industry. It set in motion other contracts and agreements between the state, city, and consulting team. At this stage, staff and consultants were managing the process through the rest of 2024 and then into 2025. Now the city and state are doing urban planning on farmland that the city was trying to get designated as an urban growth boundary, which did not happen because of the referendum. The TGM grant rules are clear that concept planning is only to be done within an existing UGB or on urban reserve lands. Nothing shows that the grant rules have been changed, nor does it show that North Plains may have received special treatment, but there's currently no evidence to support that, but I'm looking into this. Now, not only is the current planning process obscure, it is running late and likely not applicable to the area being planned. Because of this delay and possible contract and agreement inconsistencies at this stage, the city and state may end up with nothing but expenses and a partial plan that can't be implemented. If the city decides to proceed otherwise with an overly large and incompatible urban growth boundary, it will be opposed, and the result will likely be the same as before. UGB planning could have been done differently. The whole community could have been meaningfully engaged years ago, or even after the May 2024 referendum. A smaller, more compatible UGB could have been determined, and with much less expense by using state rules in place for small cities like North Plains. And also there's relevant funding for that kind of work through technical assistance or comprehensive planning grants. Then concept planning for a new UGB could have done. And what we're doing now is continuing to look at this record, and we will continue to keep council informed as the record develops further. And this memorandum will be sent to you separately. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for your comment. Next, we'll have a comment to have Linda Gisborne speak on behalf of Strong Towns.
Good evening, council, and all of you here tonight. I am Linda Gallis-Merton. I'm speaking on behalf of Strong Towns, whose members include people inside and outside the city boundary. Our town of North Plains is a fright. The manager's power is too tight. From council and chaos to audits a complete loss, he keeps it all out of sight. We want to recover and thrive. We have a vision to drive. And alas, progress is slow. Our pillars are no-go, as he keeps big growth alive. To this, our solutions are sparse when management is such a farce. If we want to do better, you must send him a letter. Don't let the door hit your arse. Thank you.
You're muted for all of us on Teams. Or on Zoom, I mean.
We will fix that, I hope.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna wait. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Tattersall, Washington County Cooperative Library Services. And I'm just looking to see if I should wait until the deck comes back. Okay. I'll just keep talking. I'm here today to just share educational information about a proposed library local option levy, measure 34-345. As a public employee, I am subject to political restrictions under Oregon law, and so I'm sharing neutral and non-advocacy information only. I'm glad to be here with your council today. Next slide, please.
I'm just sharing real quick.
Oh yeah, no worries. And I'll just keep talking and then we'll catch up. In this presentation, I'll be covering how public library service is delivered in Washington County and the current funding model. I would also talk about what would happen or what the proposed levy would fund, how much it would cost, and what would happen if the levy did not pass. Here in Washington County, public library service is delivered through a partnership between the county, Washington County Cooperative Library Services, known as WCCLS, and 9 cities and 3 nonprofit associations that operate local libraries. WCCLS is the primary source of funding for local libraries, And it also provides central support services that efficiently link these independently operated libraries together, creating a countywide system that is available to an estimated 600,000 residents. There are 16 full-service library locations in the county, from Banks in the northwest corner in the county to Sherwood in the south. In addition, our digital library is available 24/7 at wccls.org. In fiscal year 24-25, so the previous fiscal year we just wrapped up, the local option levy represents 45% of WCCLS revenue, and the remaining 55% of our revenue is a transfer from the county's general fund. The majority of WCCLS total funding is directed towards library funding allocations, including those for North Plains, and that represents 67% of our expenses. The remaining 33% of WCCLS expenses is for the central services that link all of those libraries together. The levy would fund programs, resources, and materials that are designed to support student success with reading and learning. Some of the events and resources available to kids and teens include book clubs, Oregon Battle of the Books or OBOB events, maker spaces, and STEAM programs. Libraries also offer resources for parents and caregivers, kindergarten readiness, test prep tools, and free access to fast and reliable internet. Over 10,000 students participated in library programs designed to support reading, learning, and student success last year. WCCLS has issued over 83,000 library cards to public school students since 2019. The levy would also fund the central services that efficiently link libraries together. Library users can use the shared online catalog to access over 1.5 million library items, reserving them for pickup at any of the 16 libraries across the county. WCCLS courier trucks delivered 2.5 million books and other items to libraries in fiscal year 23-24. In addition, WCCLS provides online learning tools such as job hunting resources, downloadable ebooks and audiobooks, digital newspapers and magazines, as well as streaming video, all available 24/7 to library users. The levy would fund open hours at 16 full-service public library locations across the county, including North Plains. Most libraries in the system are open at least 6 days a week and provide access to 1.5 million items in the shared collection across the system. Last year, there were over 2.4 million visits to WCCLS libraries, and total checkouts exceeded 7.2 million. By borrowing items rather than purchasing them, library users saved $140 million last year. In addition to providing books and other materials, library buildings serve as cooling spaces for the community during extreme heat. Users do not need a library card to access public computers and Wi-Fi, as well as study rooms and meeting rooms. The levy would also fund children's reading events, including story times. Some of our story times are offered in multiple languages, such as Spanish and Chinese. All WCCLS libraries offer regular events and programs for children, as well as an annual summer reading program. Libraries also offer interactive play areas that promote learning and social interaction. In fiscal year 23-24, WCCLS libraries hosted over 200,000 participants at 6,000 in-person events for kids and teens. If passed, Measure 34-345 would replace a 22-cent levy that is expiring in June 2026. The proposed replacement levy would be a fixed rate of 37 cents per $1,000 of assessed value, and that would run from July 2026 to June 2031. In 2026, typical homeowners with an assessed value, and that's different than market value, of $348,600 would pay an estimated total of $129 annually, or $10.75 per month. The annual increase in cost for the typical owner over the current levy would be just over $54 per year, or $4.55 per month more than the current levy. If the levy did not pass, reductions in library services would occur. These reductions would include reduced hours, fewer book purchases, fewer reading events, and a reduced level of services that link libraries together. Some examples of those services that would be reduced include fewer ebooks, a less robust online catalog, less frequent deliveries between libraries, and disrupted access to technology. Thank you for your engagement with this presentation about the proposed local option library levy. To learn more, we do have information at wccls.org/levy.
Are you open for questions from the council? Anybody have any questions? Comments?
Thank you for the very thorough presentation. Process of it.
Thank you. Now for the public safety. Switching out.
And while you're getting set up, I'll just introduce myself. Hello, my name is Al Roque. I'm a chief deputy with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Thanks for having us tonight. It's our pleasure to be here. I'm here to talk about ballot measure 34-346, the public safety local option levy. And I'll just continue since you're right there. So this proposed local option levy is related to countywide services for the public safety system. Every member in every city, every property owner in every city pays a current levy tax right now. And this measure for November would be a replacement to the existing. The services that are covered by the levy include law enforcement services, prosecution, mental health services, domestic violence, and others. If passed, the measure would cost 66 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. Again, like Lisa mentioned, that's assessed property value, which is not market value. The existing measure rate is 47 cents. So this represents an increase of 19 cents per thousand. It is a 5-year levy and the tax is estimated to raise $337 million over the course of the levy period. The money raised by the levy is used to fund, again, countywide law enforcement services, jail and community correction center, probation and parole, juvenile services, and support for domestic violence survivors. 16% of those systems are funded by this local option levy. Next slide, please. So this levy would specifically enhance investigation and prosecution of crimes like theft, car theft, break-ins, and graffiti. Unfortunately, we have an average of 1 vehicle stolen per day over the last 4 years in Washington County. It also enhances the prosecution of child abuse cases and child pornography cases. The increase for those reports are 17% over the last 4 years, which averages about 9 reports per day. It would also expand victims assistance and emergency programs for families affected by domestic violence cases, and also help prevent domestic violence via programs from ever occurring in the first place. Domestic violence reports are up 22%, or an average of 4 per day over the last 4 years. It also would help fund drug enforcement, such as fentanyl, and the trafficking organizations that proliferate that. Over the last 3 years alone, 1.3 million fentanyl pills were seized by the sheriff's office. Speaking about the jail, obviously every agency in Washington County will bring their people in custody to the Washington County Jail. It's the only jail in the county. We are not able to operate at full capacity currently because of staffing and funding shortages. So this levy would help bring the jail back to full capacity. The levy also provides for mental health response teams, and these are teams that are a pairing of a deputy with a mental health clinician for an entire shift, 7 days a week, 10 hours shifts. And their primary goal or primary function is to respond to mental health crises and people in those crises. They're very effective at diverting these people from the criminal justice system and even the emergency departments and into supportive services. The dollar impact, again, would be 66 cents for this levy per thousand. If we use the same county average assessed value of the home, just under $350,000, then the cost would be approximately $19 in change per month or $230 per year. As compared to the current levy, that would be an increase of $6 per month. If the measure does not pass, then we would not get those enhanced services and property taxes will not be increased. So just in summary, again, everybody in Washington County is affected by this local option levy. Doesn't matter if you live in the city or unincorporated or rural. And it provides public safety system funding. So not just sheriff's office, but prosecution, mental health, domestic violence. And it is 66 cents per thousand, which is an increase of 19 cents per thousand over the current levy. We also have a website for additional information. WCOR.us/local option levy. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's open up for questions from council. Any questions? Hearing none.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Commissioner Willie.
Good evening, everyone. Jerry Woolley, Washington County Commissioner, District 4. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. I have 6 cities in District 4, which is Hillsborough, Cornelius, Forest Grove, Gaston, Banks, and North Plains, and everything west. So I touch Yamhill County, Tillamook County, Clatsop, and Columbia County. So it's a big footprint. And it's gives me an opportunity to really interact with not only a variety of cities and city councilors, but also the other commissioners in those areas. So I very much enjoy doing what it is that I do. Washington County, as you know, has been struggling for the past several years with their budgets. Over the past 5 years, we have cut $99 million out of our budget because we could not maintain the services at the same level. Property taxes are capped at 3%. We all know that. Inflation has been significantly higher than that. And so we have had to deal with a number of those services and how we maintain those services, but at the same time, reduce those services. The 2 levies that you heard about tonight are significant parts of how we can maintain those services, both in library and in public safety. In the polling that we have done and the region has done, public safety is the #1 priority. It's very important that we have safe neighborhoods, we have safe environments, and we trust our public safety representatives like those behind me. I thought it was interesting that Al said we have 1 car theft per day as compared to, I don't know how many in Multnomah County per day. And so even though we don't like to think about 1 car theft per day, it's a pretty good statistic compared to the other regional, certainly metropolitan counties. And I think that's why I really hope that you would support both our library levy and our public safety levy. I can say that because I'm elected. These 2 cannot say that. All they can tell you is the specifics, and they did a good job of that. Some other things that we at the county have been struggling with, quite frankly, is the new executive orders from our president. They have created a significant impact on our policies and procedures for how we deal with DEI. And so we have gone through and renamed a number of our policies to comply with that. The reason why we've done that, and we have received a significant amount of pushback from a variety of organizations and individuals. I'm told that there's going to be a demonstration tomorrow night at tomorrow afternoon at our board meeting. So we are trying to walk a very fine line on how we deal with this. It represents $350 million a year to the county that we pay for behavioral services and a variety of other organizations, our nonprofits, that all benefit and provide those services. And we have to be very careful how we manage that money and what our policies state. We are in the process of doing all of that. It's very hard work and it's threading the needle. And we're trying to do that and make sure that we can maintain these services countywide because they are desperately needed. With that, we have the Center for Addiction Treatment and Triage. That's an entity that we are going to open doors on this fall, has 86 beds that we can have overnight for treatment for not only drug, but detoxification, all of those things. If you remember a few years back, Oregonians passed Measure 110 and then found out that that probably wasn't such a great idea. And so that has been modified into a deflection program. And so that is part of what we're trying to comply with right now, is provide these services so these individuals don't go to jail. We don't have jail space for that. We need to get them into an environment where we can help them with their mental health issues, their addiction issues, and whatever else they need to have help with. And so that's what we refer to as the CATT, C-A-T-T, and you'll hear more about that in the next few months. We're very happy that we are able to provide that kind of a service. The other thing that you probably heard a lot about is our legislators struggled with the Transportation Act and was not able to pass that act in the last legislative session. There's going to be a special session called by the governor coming up. What that looks like is, how do we fund our highway and our maintenance and our transportation services? It's going to be very important that we figure out how that is. I'm very candid about the fact that I own an electric vehicle and I pay 0 transportation taxes. And I'm saying to all of our legislators, please tax me. I should not be able to drive on our highways and our streets for free. So please, let's find a way that we can do that. For some reason, that's a difficult thing. I've got a lot of ideas of which they don't listen to, but there's a lot of things that we can be doing. It is going to be expensive. Our ODOT, Oregon Department of Transportation, obviously has management efficiency issues. You've read that in the newspaper. We're hoping that our legislators take that seriously and work with them to find some solutions about how we can provide funding for them so that they can maintain our roads and that we can have safe highways, and everybody pays a fair share. So stay tuned with that. That's going to be an interesting conversation. So I'm gonna go back to the library levy just for a second. The North Plains Library is certainly a very small library. One of the primary focuses of the levy and the increase in the rate is because our small libraries really need a hand up on how they can provide better services. Our libraries are known as the community gathering places, and I'm sure that's what the North Plains Library is as well. And so the North Plains Library will receive a significant increase in the funding if this levy is passed. And they'll be able to provide the employees, the full-time employment that they need, and also provide the circulation and the books, the ebooks, all of the things that our library patrons enjoy. North Plains will be able to enjoy some of that as well. And so I would encourage you to consider that and ask me any questions about that. And last Thursday, you guys had a national night out, and those are continuing. Our sheriff's department is involved in a number of those, 3 of them tomorrow night. Cornelius, Banks and Gaston. And those are very important events. And so we like to say thank you to our public safety folks. And certainly our sheriff's department and our city police, because they provide the safety that we absolutely expect. Any questions?
First off, thank you for doing this job. We have a huge area to manage, a large budget, a lot of services you have to fund. Figuring out how to fund them is gonna be really tough. So thanks for putting the work in. Michelle?
Thank you, Commissioner Willis, for being here and showing up at our meeting to tell us all this and give us an update and give the community an update. Earlier tonight, you heard a public comment regarding the county volunteer subcommittee of the CPO 8. And having some questions about sort of that operation and what's going on with that. Can you speak to the role of those? I know that one's in your district, but can you speak to the role and sort of what the goal is with those CPO 8s? Because it sounds like we're having some challenging situations.
Well, it is, we at the county are also trying to find a happy spot with that. If you look back in the history, CPOs were designed for exactly what it says, citizen participation organizations. We wanted to hear from our citizens. We wanted to know what they were thinking, how we could work with them on facilitating their concerns. That has gone just a little bit sideways in that those organizations also have to meet public meeting laws. That means they have to post an agenda in advance. They have to advise and post public documentation as to what it is they're going to do, what elections they're going to do. And so we have been, over the last year or so, our legal team has been meeting with all of our CPOs, advising them as to what the public meeting laws are and making sure they're in compliance. I think you'll probably hear in the near future some of our recommendations that we're making to the CPOs and wanting them, quite frankly, to become a vibrant, feedback, transparent way that we can communicate with their local organizations. I mean, North Plains is certainly one of them. You've had some turmoil. And so we would like to make sure that our cities function really well. And that the citizens of those cities feel like they are being heard. And I think that's what the CPOs, we're trying to get the CPOs to work with.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that county vision on that with our community. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions from council? Again, thank you for the hard work you're putting in. It is a heavy lift.
Absolutely, I appreciate that, and I would encourage you all to support the library and the public safety lab. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public hearing and ordinances. We have ordinance 500, which is the sign code amendment and is as emergency. Can we have Bill or whoever to present that? Rowan?
Good evening, council. Thank you. You have a lot of information in your packet about this, but quickly, this is a ordinance to correct a manifest error in the adoption of a previous ordinance 496, the IPU sign code. It was discovered after the fact that that ordinance did not remove some of the text to be stricken. So this is a correction of that oversight. It's limited to 2 small areas. One is the definition of a pole sign. Some text was to be stricken so that there was no ambiguity between a pole sign and a freestanding sign. The other area was the dimensional standards for a monument sign in the institutional and public uses zone. We added a different dimensional standard and failed to remove the dimensional standard that had preceded it, as was indicated in previous staff reports. So this is really just a correction and doing some work that was already intended to be done. I'm available for any questions that aren't answered in your staff report.
Boss, can you hum a bar on that for me, please?
Hold on a second.
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I had you on mute. Oh. Sorry about that. All right, my question is related to ordinance 500. Why is this considered an emergency?
Yes, we're trying to get this error corrected as quickly as possible and not have it be the 30 days. This also affects some city signage. So in the interest of correcting the code, given the fact that this is something that the city has already approved, we felt that the 30-day waiting period was unnecessary.
If this is done, as long as I have the same questions, why is this emergency? I like to plug emergency onto everything. Cause kind of. Those things, makes things look like a forced and, kind of erodes the emergency part of it. If we just do regular 30 days, what is the, problem that we go with?
So leaving it to 30 days would result in a delay of certain city projects, as well as just furthering the ambiguity of the code. We currently have a code that is ambiguous and is not functional. So any sign permit requests that come in while this code is still ambiguous are, subject to standards that are less than what we would like to be operating on.
And have there been any codes that are being foreseen to come in the next 30 days?
Sorry. We know that the city is submitting one, and we can't predict exactly what signs will come in, but we do have many IPU zoned properties, particularly our religious institutions and our school institutions, that are currently either have signs that are non-conforming based on this code, or have the potential to apply for another sign, and it would be somewhat of a sticky spot for the city in terms of which standards to apply.
Yeah, I noticed we had changes a while ago for the athletic school had a monument sign. So we changed the code for that, but that's already there. So we don't have anything that's coming up that's actually waiting for this, right?
The only sign that I am aware of that they're waiting to have some clarity on the standards is the sign for the Kendall Public Services Building.
Thank you. Pass it back to Nancy.
Am I live? Great. Pages 69 through 73 of the agenda packet. Can you explain how these are relevant to the sign code? They do not appear to be related. However, I'm not an expert in this arena, so I'm hoping you can educate me.
Okay, you said 69 through 73, Counselor?
Yeah.
1 second. Oh, are you referring to the comprehensive or the Oregon land use planning goals that are outlined in the staff report?
Yep, 69 through 73.
Yes, these are the Oregon land use planning goals 1 through 19. As a requirement for any text amendment, we are required to comply with all Oregon land use planning rules. That section of the staff report spells out which of the planning rules apply to the proposed text amendment, how we comply with them, or if they are not applicable.
Any further questions? Discussion? I'm open to hear a motion.
I'll move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 500 to amend the North Plains zoning and development code and to correct manifest errors in the sign standards.
I would second.
I heard a first and a second. All's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mandy?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Can I hear a second, or sorry, can say a move to adopt ordinance 500
As an emergency.
as an emergency?
I'll move to adopt ordinance number 500 as an emergency to amend the North Plains zoning and development code and to correct manifest errors in the sign standards, which simply moves our sign process forward.
You're in the first, anybody in the second?
I'm the second.
You're in the second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you, counselors.
Next, we have ordinance 496. I'm sorry, this can't, sorry, that's right, then, sorry. Next, we have a resolution for 2319, authorizing the purchase of a backhoe. Is Dustin here to talk about this?
It is not. Oh, darn it. I have more questions.
About the backhoe?
Yep.
Okay, so we have nobody here to talk about it. We're going
You
to,
can ask.
Bill's here.
Yes. He's on.
Bill, can you please add some color to this?
Yes, I can help you with that. Let me Jim, I actually forgot Dustin is back tomorrow, not today. So let me load that up. I mean, in essence, basically, we have an acquisition that has been identified as needed by the Public Works Department for essential function. And you know, as is policy, rules, and law, over a certain amount, we need to come to City Council and have that reviewed and authorized by council for ultimate approval. And so that basically is the resolution before you. We don't get to just spend money on however much whenever we want. There's certainly once we get over a certain limit, we have to get your authorization. So let me crack that open here. Scan back down to the resolution. Sorry for the pause. There we go. It's loading. Slowly. Okay. Sign code. The HTML is not working. Okay, here we go. Okay. So I have the staff report and the resolution here. So indeed, getting a little bit in the details, resolution 23-119, if adopted, and approved by City Council, would authorize Dustin to go ahead and make the specific backhoe purchase that equipment purchase that he is proposing, is identified as needed and is proposing to buy with funds from the the vehicle and equipment reserve fund. The total cost, based on the process he went through in contacting different vendors, going through standard procedure, was best competitive bid of $154,902.66, as I believe I'm reading that accurately. But the staff report goes into what exactly what the machinery is, and why he is needing it, and the process he went through to find the best price for the most appropriate equipment
that he identified, and he actually gives a ton more information, frankly, that's typical, which was really good of him to get you all up to speed on kind of different aspects of what the equipment's used for and the process he went through. But by and large, that's it in a nutshell. You all, if you approve of this purchase based on the procedures he went through and what he's identified, then we can go ahead and make that purchase. So I leave it there and stand for questions.
Thanks for not meeting again. We have some questions for the Pheasant City Council. Since I work for right now, I just want to make sure that this is going to take the place of two pieces of equipment, the backhoe and also the cat mini excavator.
Yes, correct. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Bill, I was wondering if you could explain if we've done a cost analysis to understand if purchasing is indeed a better long-term solution over a long-term lease or renting versus buying. Brief background, I recently did a cost benefit analysis for a local nonprofit and learned that for major capital equipment that they were looking at, it was actually more cost effective to rent what they were wanting to buy on a weekly basis. Thus the question, what was the process of evaluating the choice points that led us to buying this backhoe?
I mean, it kind of just goes to typical procurement procedure for us in that we acquire the equipment and then we tend to own it and use it for a very long time, and then we go through standard surplusing procedure for it, and then insure it with kind of standard city CIS insurance for the equipment, as a city asset with special insurance requirements that we have for that in that policy, in that type of policy. So that's kind of what it boils down to is, I'm not aware of, I mean, there might be other cities out there that do some kind of lease agreement, but we're kind of, we basically have a buying procurement procedure that's very similar to other cities around us. And when we can buy used from other agencies, we prefer to do that. But in this case, it's a combination of equipment that is, Dustin has identified as being best acquired new. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. To follow up on that question about leasing versus renting, I had the same thoughts, especially when I read that the cat excavator only has 50 hours on it because we're not really using it. That's a purchase, so the cost per hour we have is quite expensive. So maybe that lease would have been better. I'm not sure how that math works out. Do we know how many hours we're gonna use this? I know this life spans over 20 years, but how much do we actually use this per year?
Councilor Fage, that's a great question. Dustin is the Public Works Director, and so that would be definitely within his wheelhouse to get into those details. So I would have to defer to him if he were here, but I don't have that answer. That's not an operational question that I can answer.
Hi, Bill, this is Counselor David. I just had a quick question. Is this something that's time sensitive, or could we table to a next agenda so that Dustin can be present? We could ask some questions, or maybe be presented with some other options.
No, there's no emergency to this. So if you would like to discuss this at the next meeting when he's here, you certainly can.
Okay, thank you.
Council discussion, is everybody okay with tabling this to a later date?
Please.
We all agree on that. So we're gonna go ahead and table the resolution 2319 for a later date to give the Public Works Director a chance to figure out how many hours we're actually gonna use, whether a lease is more appropriate. So we have to store it, insure it, and maintain it, or a purchase is in order. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, as I retract that, I don't strike that.
I just want to clarify, we're gonna ask him to maybe
research some rental / lease agreements and bring those forward
Yes.
in that, okay.
But
Do we have consensus?
I want to clarify that, is that we're not asking him to bring him forward so we can make the decision. We're asking him to bring forward that information and how he makes the decision to us.
Yeah, the direction from the council is to do a buy lease analysis, see whether that makes more sense. Especially given the back was, not back, but the municipal was purchased and only has 50 hours on it. So. All right. Any further? Sean? We have consensus?
Move it, yes, please.
Move to eliminate. Okay, under unfinished business, we have none. New business. None. We have council reports. First up is Bill, the city manager report.
Thank you, Councilor Page. I mean, the city manager reports are kind of fun in that every week, sending out the Friday 5, you kind of get a detail of all of everything that's going on and updating on what we're working on and where things are going. I guess I would just kind of, summarize. We actually have a little bit of I need to visit with Lori because we've gotten 2 applications that we thought were for mayor. But the application that I believe one of them filled out, they may or may not have understood that it wasn't the mayor application, it was a general city council application, and so we'll get that ironed out, but we have either 1 or 2 applications so far for mayor. And thank you very much for your conversation during the work session about how not only questions but procedure and kind of be on the same page about when you'll get that information and be able to kind of interview your candidates. Beyond that, last week we did submit kind of the final signature pages in order to have the EPA review our brownfield grant. Rowan and I are doing training about that this week. There's a lot of, I think we talked about it a little bit before, but there's a lot of reporting and compliance involving a federal grant like this. So we will be doing a lot of paperwork and a lot of coordination with the EPA before, during, and after the project at the Glencoe Opportunity site, the grocery store site, to just kind of reporting and compliance on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. So that's what we're here for. I am failing to think of anything immediately. I think during council reports, you all are going to I'll let you all bring up discussing the city manager review and the choice to pause that. So I'll leave that to you all and then fill in any blanks if there are any to do. But beside that, not a ton more to share, I would say, at this point, so I'll stand for any questions.
I apologize, I was muted again. I think we're just doing council stuff, and this would be muted
Okay.
muted. Question about the brownfield grant. It's for $1 million. Is that correct?
That is correct, $1 million.
And how long do we anticipate this to take before we start breaking ground and until we complete it?
So the grant is a reimbursement grant. So as soon as the EPA approves the work program that Rowan did the heavy lifting on, and they kind of approve everything that we submitted in detail following up to the application that they deemed worthy of selection for the grant. It will be next year next year during the construction period when the soil is not so heavy laden with rain, with water, that we'll be in a position to go ahead and move on work with the assurance that the federal money we can apply for reimbursement for for the removal of the soil and, you know, taking it to the garbage. So it'll be next year when we can kind of move forward, because we have EPA process between now and then to secure everything, and then going through the process of finding the appropriate contractor. And when you add all of that up, competitive bid and all of that, we're looking at next year dirt being moved. But this does square us up for more than adequate funding to handle the situation, so that we don't have this major sunken cost anymore, making the project a difficult one to do with that much sunken cost.
And Rowan's leading this charge?
Rowan, both Rowan and I mean, I think on a reporting and process, we'll be working together on this. There will be a lot, you know, kind of on the more reporting and working with EPA staff on that part of the effort. Rowan will be heavily involved in, and then as far as the going out and procurement procedure, finding a qualified general contractor to do the work, working with the state. The state will be looking, and the state is interested in helping us with the project, but the grant from the EPA does not pay for, it pays for contaminated soil removal. It doesn't pay for removal of structures on the property. So we'll work with the state on that money with their brownfield program. So there's all that coordination too. So between the two of us, we'll be handling different aspects of it. But I imagine Rowan will be more heavily involved on a day-to-day basis on the EPA side of it.
Thank you for your focus on this. It's kind of a big deal for the city, so thank you for pushing us forward. Council questions? For Bill?
Hi, Bill, it's Council Reddy.
Yeah.
Council reports, we agreed to request a staff update at this meeting, for the sound system issues. Just wondering if you had that for us.
Well, I think more immediately, I think we found a bit of a Band-Aid solution, thanks to Robin and Jason actually at the library, who actually has AV background experience. And so we have a microphone system that's working well, I will say, remotely and zooming in. But at this point, with an adopted budget, I can, well, and being back mostly from vacation, I'm out of town right now, but being back in the new fiscal year with an adopted budget that authorizes the city to spend its share of money that we've parked in the Jesse Mays Fund for AV equipment improvements, we can move forward with working with MAC on the quotes that they've gotten on from their certified contractor for some of the planned improvements in the building for AV for city council general meetings, public meetings, and then any rentals, events, that sort of thing. So we're just at a point where we're able to move forward with MAC, basically.
Just want to make sure that you understand that this pass on microphone is indeed a Band-Aid. It is a terrible idea. It's really mess up the flow. Hey, touch this, you know, it's not great.
But thank you for setting it up. Thank you.
But thank you for the outside box.
Mhm.
But it is Band-Aid. All right, council reports. Let's go to start down the line. Katie, you want to start?
Well, you just start and bring it down.
Oh, I have the microphone, I might as well do it, right? I attended the, well, I think, well, most of us attended the National Night Out. Fantastic. We had a pretty strong show up for the sheriff's department. There's a lot of cool toys out there. Thank you guys for having that. The drone was a lot of fun. I got to have a drone follow me around, which is nice, I guess. And we had some community come in. I would like more people to show up. Maybe do that at the same time as the free ice cream. Yeah, a lot of people show up there. But yeah, that was a lot of fun for me to hang around and participate. That's what I have for my reports. Oh, sorry, one more. I attended the Metro meeting. And I was, in those meetings, North Plains is allowed to not really participate, but I'd be in the meeting, so my microphone was muted the whole time. I'm glad it was. They were talking about expansion and more taxes and, so I'm glad I was muted. But a lot of the talk about is about property taxes being fixed at 3%. And how much of a struggle it is to afford a lot of services that people want and they have come to expect. So that's a challenge. One of my suggestions was gonna be like, each time a house sells, maybe readjust the cost for the taxes for that, but I was muted, and I came in tight. So anyways, that's interesting that the whole area is concerned about cost and budgeting. Which is probably gonna be the same story for ever and has always been. But that's what everybody's talking about right now, is how to keep services the way they are.
Thank you. I have a few things. One, I want to say thank you to Jason and Robin for this Band-Aid of a solution. Because I think it's a very effective Band-Aid and the audience appreciates being able to hear us. I realize it's not the best solution and we will get there. And then also for a National Night Out. That I want to say thank you to Mandy. She said, do you want to do this? And we put it together and brought it to council and I was at the event early, but had to leave. And I wanted to say, it was in full swing. There were, greetings by counselors going on. There were swag decisions that had to be made, which swag item do you want? And Star Wish making. So, kudos to Nick on a fun event and to all the staff, because I know that all the staff was involved. And even some crazy behind the scenes scavenger hunt work that had to happen to make sure that we had our stars and our activity there for us. But it was also really nice to be there among people and talk to them. We had a lot of kid responses. I remember that they wanted more food, horses, and a swimming pool. And I think we're not surprised by that, are we? The other thing that I think was great, where we all got to talk to the community as they were walking around, but it also was a great council building moment, bonding moment for us to sort of be together and hanging out and doing that. So thank you to everyone for that one. We had a question earlier about the agenda and the executive session for the evaluation of the city manager being moved. And that was a decision made due to our council president being being not able to be here tonight. And so that that agenda item was moved so that full participation of the existing council could happen. And, you know, we do have the ability to move things around on the council, on the agenda. And that's why it happened. And it will be back on an agenda in a future item. But I do want to say public comment is welcome anytime, whether that's on the agenda or not. And I think that's it for mine. Thank you.
All right, well, I also want to say thank you to Robin and team for our fix. I know this is temporary, but I hope online it's also easy to hear and out in the audience as well. I have a pretty light agenda. I was lucky or unlucky, I don't know, but I was lucky enough that my ex officio meeting was canceled for July, so I don't have too much to report on. I will share, of course, Garlic Festival is coming up, so this weekend is a big weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I also want to share, I saw some of my fellow council peers at the car show that was in town a few weekends ago as well. That had a great turnout and saw a lot of people from around, not even North Plains, but I heard Newport. I mean, a lot of people traveled pretty far for that car show. And then I also just wanted to just say, thank you for all of the effort for the National Night Out. I'm so sad I wasn't able to attend due to my husband having a surgery that ran a little bit longer. So I wasn't able to attend, but seeing all of the photos and just hearing the sentiment, it definitely sounds like a really treasured event. And I just want to say thank you to Councilor McCall Wallace and Councilor Hagedorn for spearheading that project.
My update today will be pretty short. National Night Out was a success. I think it was, the funnest part was listening to what people had to say. And I think I'd like to challenge our group to do more of these events. I think it's a positive thing for the community. Looking forward to attending the planning commission on the 13th. I see one of our commissioners in the audience.
So I'm excited and I'll be studying up and ready to ask any more questions. Passing it to Katie. Counselor Redding, apologies. I don't have any serious business, but I did get to attend Creature Teachers, with my children. And it was very informational and we got to see an albino snake and a tarantula and turtle and lizards and much more. And out on the playground afterwards, the kids were very excited about being able to come up and touch that. And so I think that's just part of what's, to come if the levy is passed. And so I just kind of wanted to pass that information along and how important it is to the kids in our community. And I think it was also one of the highest attended events, wasn't it? And then I also got to walk the Ford show, which was very cool. And I have 3 teenage boys in my life who are head over heels and think they're gonna enter a car into Garlic Festival. That's how excited they were about that. And I just wanted to thank Iggy. I believe he said it was one of the largest turnouts to date. And I wanted to thank everybody who helped organize that event as well.
Thank you for the reports. Next we have the council calendars. Is everybody able to make their assigned meetings? Do we need to make any changes? I'll be taking over the next meeting for the Metro. This has been canceled. So I volunteered for that one. Alrighty. Nobody's home. All right, that can, sorry.
I do have a question on the business calendar.
Okay.
What is your?
So under the calendar schedule, I know that it has the dates on there for what we have upcoming on some things, and just as, I know we just approved the purchase of the backhoe into the future August meeting, but we also had that we as a council were going to have a discussion, agenda item discussion about whether we have the surety bond in place for this year, but whether we want to continue with that in the future, or we want to go with our existing insurance. And that was a decision, that was a discussion we were going to have in August. We were waiting until after the budget things. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on there as an agenda item.
Sorry, were you able to have that as an agenda item for 3018?
Yeah, you guys were gonna decide whether it was necessary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Bill and I'll get together, yeah.
18 looks like a pretty busy meeting.
With the work session with Parks and
First
Rec.
session, Parks and Recs, mayor,
That's 6.
surety bonds, yeah. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Alrighty. Any other further discussions? Is that,
Are we done?
I'm about to say we're done. Everybody okay with us, close it out? Hearing that, this concludes the North Plains City Council meeting. We're over at 8.
So let me read the script for the.
Well, we don't need to do the executive, right?
Hmm?
Do we need to do the executive? We don't need that, right? I guess close it out.
Yeah, the executives for something else.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do I stop
No.
recording?
no, not until after I finish.
And
that
in this
part.
council meeting, you have to have executive session, right?
Yeah, I just need to read it before you, I mean, you can adjourn the meeting and then I need to read it on the record. Read it.
Okay, I'm gonna and adjourn the meeting. We're adjourned at 8:28 PM.
While everyone else is. The city council will now meet in executive session under ORS 192.60 (2) to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. Only news media representatives and staff designated by city council are permitted to attend the executive session. News media representatives, staff, and city council are respectfully directed not to report on any of the discussions that occurred during the session, except to state the general subject as previously announced. The council will return to regular session if there is a need for action on the executive session item. No final action or decision may be taken in executive session. Any materials distributed will be collected by the city recorder at the end.
Jason, put away the sounds.